لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك. محمد نبينا بنور هدينا محمد نبينا بنور هدينا.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria (NACON) has inaugurated the 2019 Hajj National Media Team and also held an induction for members. NACON Chairman Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar Mohammed inaugurated the team and declared the induction opened in Abuja.
Journalists must imbibe the concepts of fairness.
While presenting a paper at the event titled Ethics of the Journalist in Hajj Coverage, the Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Dr. Mansour Liman, highlighted some of the principles of reporting. These include cross-checking of facts before reporting them, observe the rules of fairness, objectivity, and balance in reporting, understanding the context of the information, as well as respect for people's culture.
If we don't do this, it becomes easy to distribute or to disseminate false information. And this can harm those around us who we may take the reports or who may take the reports at face value. So therefore, it is our own responsibility to make sure that what we are reporting, we have checked and cross-checked what we have. Otherwise, a small information that you think is small can actually cause a lot of havoc. What we are trying to do is to establish the truth of what has happened. Even if it happens in front of our own eyes, it's our own responsibility to corroborate that with people who have witnessed the incident. Because even if we witness that incident, we might be missing the context of what has happened.
The second paper, titled An Overview of NACON's National Media Guidelines, Do's and Don'ts of Hajj Coverage, was presented by the Acting Managing Director of the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, Idris Abdullahi. In it, he enumerated some of them.
You must not allow yourself to come into conflict with Saudi authorities or their laws. There are do's, there are don'ts, there are things you are not expected to do. Please operate within the confines of their rules and regulations. Now, don't forget, there are many sources of stories for you, even within NACON itself. Now, what I'm saying is this: those things that will help the pilgrims both at home and in Saudi Arabia, they are the things we should focus on.
Another paper on Hajj rights was delivered by Sheikh Tajuddin Ajibu.
Essential right of Hajj. If one is missing or one of these four is disregarded, your Hajj will not be acceptable by Allah. 1. Ihram. 2. Tawaf. 3. As-sa'yu bayna Safa wal Marwa. And 4. Standing at the mountain of Arafah. Consequently, Hajj is no longer valid if any of these rights is disregarded, as rightly mentioned.
All the presentations elicited questions and comments from participants.
There is need for us to do this collaboration and strengthen our synergy amongst all journalists and the media executives to ensure that the Hajj exercise is a success.
Speaking in an interview shortly after the event, NACON Chairman Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar called on members of the national media team to focus on reporting Hajj issues and the services provided to pilgrims.
We should be mindful on our own business, and we should do everything that will portray our country in a very positive manner, and also to remind the media team that they are part of the stakeholders They should ensure that they are watchdog to make the state, to make the licensed tour operators, and to make even the Saudi service providers ensure that pilgrims get value for their money.
He said the commission will create the enabling environment for journalists to carry out their work successfully.
We have a well-equipped office in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, where they have enough computers, up-to-date technology, and they have abundant internet facility. We'll make their stay as comfortable as possible within our capacity, and we'll make information available to them as at when due, and we'll try to organize an interactive session between them, the state, the licensed tour operators, the service providers, so that they can ask questions and get feedback.
In related news, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has charged members of the national medical team taking part in the 2019 Hajj operation to acquaint themselves with the use of computer to enhance their performance in serving pilgrims during Hajj exercise. NACON Chairman Barrister Abdullah Mukhtar Muhammad, represented by the head of National Medical Team, Dr. Ibrahim Kana, stated this while declaring open the 2019 Hajj medical screening and training exercises in Abuja.
The chairman is pleased with the National Medical Team since its inception about 4 years ago. A lot of reforms have taken place, a lot of changes, and the changes will continue to happen. The best of it all, as far as is concerned, is the introduction of the electronic medical record. The entire health system in Saudi Arabia, Nigerian medical clinics are fully computerized. So he is urging all medical personnel to be computer literate and to pay attention to the training that's going to take place today.
The chairman said NACON will continue to improve on its reforms as they relate to accommodation, transportation, feeding, among others, in order to serve Nigerian pilgrims successfully. Participating in the screening and training exercises were doctors, pharmacists, and nurses. Experts delivered lectures on the following topics: use of electronic medical record system, tenets of Hajj, and flight schedule and luggage management. The National Medical Team is responsible for the medical needs of Nigerian pilgrims while in Saudi Arabia. Still on training, a one-day workshop was organized by NACON for state officials in order to acquaint themselves with new developments on the registration of pilgrims for the 2019 Hajj. The event, which took place in Abuja, was facilitated by the ICT division of the Commission. Taiwo Adela Soye is one of the facilitators. He sheds more light on the training.
These two portals, for our own portal, will have accurate data of our pilgrims going forward. And also, it is also important on the e-track to train all the state personnel on these two systems in order to make sure that they do their work better, easier, and faster. Because the issue is that we don't have time, and they need to do the work as quickly as possible and without or with less errors.
The e-track system is a Saudi government portal for the registration of pilgrims and the services to be rendered to each pilgrim in the course of the Hajj exercise.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, urged all intending pilgrims to seek knowledge on how to perform Hajj and Umrah in order to attain the desired results. To achieve this, NACON directs all the pilgrims' welfare boards and agencies as well as tour operators to organize enlightenment programs for all the intending pilgrims from date of payment to commencement of operations. It is your right to be educated on how to perform Hajj and Umrah. For more information, visit guide.nigeriahajcom.gov.ng or send an email to info@nigeriahajcom.gov.ng. This message is brought to you by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON.
اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
As preparations for the 2019 Hajj gets underway, it is important for pilgrims to have adequate medical information and prepare well for the exercise. This is to ensure that they are not distracted by health challenges while carrying out Hajj rites. In view of this, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, is stepping up efforts in providing pilgrims with health tips on personal and environmental hygiene. Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana is the head of the Nigerian Hajj Medical Mission. He said the first thing expected from pilgrims is to get vaccinated against poliomyelitis and meningitis, saying that the vaccines are free.
What the government of Nigeria has done through the Federal Ministry of Health is to provide vaccines for all the pilgrims. Now we have vaccine stations in all the state capitals of this country, and the vaccines are free, absolutely free to the pilgrims. Government has paid for all those vaccines. So it is for the pilgrim to go and get this vaccination. 1, against meningitis, that's cerebrospinal meningitis, and 2, against polio. Now for polio, people can protest and ask questions, why are they giving those vaccines? Well, the truth of the matter is that Nigeria still is considered by the World Health Organization, and of course in Saudi Arabia, as one of the polio endemic countries. Therefore, it has become mandatory for Nigerians, traveling out of this country to have polio taken, and Saudi authorities have insisted.
On arrival at Saudi Airport, intending pilgrims will be administered oral vaccines. This is done with the consent of the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Health.
Saudi Arabia has insisted that despite the fact that we are taking immunization in our country because of polio, they insist that on arrival, each pilgrim must be given a drop of polio at the airport, at the point of entry. That is non-negotiable, really. We have engaged them, and WHO insists that countries have the right to insist that pilgrims or visitors to every country will have to be subjected to those countries' rules and regulations. So every pilgrim arriving in Saudi Arabia will have a drop of polio into his mouth. Therefore, there is no need for Nigerian pilgrims to protest. It is with our consent, with the consent of the Federal Ministry of Health. So they should accept the polio immunization. It has no negative effect on them.
In addition to this, intending pilgrims with ailments such as diabetes or hypertension are advised to provide medical details to the State Pilgrims Welfare Board they're registered with. The idea is to enable them plan ahead so that they can attend to such pilgrim easily when the need arises.
For all this category of pilgrims, we advise that truly they should have themselves checked by their doctors, and then while they have themselves checked by their doctors, we also advise them to please give all those information to the State Pilgrims Welfare Agency, because we have created a portal within our electronic medical system where personal medical history of each pilgrim is imputed. Now, the reason behind that is this. 1, it will help us to know how many hypertensive patients we have. Therefore, it will help us to plan for the drugs.
While on the journey, pilgrims can take along some of their prescribed drugs obtained from recognized government hospitals or pharmacists.
Honestly speaking, the Saudis frowning at pilgrims coming with drugs to their country. So we must be careful. If you're on any medication, please let us know. I have officers scattered all over the country, that can assist you, to tell you what drug you should carry to Saudi Arabia or not, even if it's drug that you take on a normal situation. There are some drugs that are normal in Nigeria, but they don't want you to bring them, even if it's 1 tablet, into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Please do not try that. And they're as simple as tramadol. As simple as tramadol, we take tramadol, prescribe tramadol, we sell tramadol over the counter in Nigeria. But to Saudi Arabia, do not, even if it's only 1 tablet.
Furthermore, intending pilgrims are encouraged to engage in physical exercises to make themselves fit to cope with the rigors of Hajj rites. Intending pilgrims are also expected to prepare themselves mentally so as to be psychologically attuned for the Hajj exercise. In the case of a pregnant woman, it is better for her to shelve the Hajj for another time after delivery. This is because of the risk pregnant women are exposed to when performing Hajj rites, which involve some form of physical activities.
We've had a lot of conversations with a lot of ulamas, and the general consensus is that pregnancy is not a contraindication to Hajj, meaning a woman who is pregnant can go for Hajj, really. But we're looking at it from a medical point of view and operational point of view for the Commission, as well as state pilgrims welfare agencies. I can tell you, When a woman who is pregnant, especially those with advanced pregnancies, goes into labor, I'm telling you, she drains the entire system. You can imagine as you are moving to Mana early in the morning or at midnight, a woman develops labor. The entire officials will have to stay there with her and support her and take her to the hospital to deliver the baby. What it means is that she has actually distorted the plan. We're not talking about normal illnesses. Anybody can fall ill at any time. But the pregnancy is a physiological illness. It's something you already know that you're pregnant. And we also know that rigor can trigger labor. Labor on its own can cause termination of pregnancy, what we call abortion or miscarriage from layman's point of view. And we've seen that over and over.
Also noteworthy by pilgrims is the high temperature often experienced in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Intending pilgrims are therefore advised to take much water and wear light cloth during their stay.
The temperature in Saudi Arabia, the least you get is actually 35 degrees centigrade. That's extremely hot, extremely, with emphasis hot. Pilgrims must carry light clothing. There's simply no need for pilgrims to carry a Babani like we are in Nigeria. If you carry a Babani you go to Saudi Arabia this year, you continue to move around with a Babani you develop heat exhaustion. And you can also go into heat stroke, and that can cost you your life. Now, so you carry light clothing, so that those are the kind of clothes you are going to be wearing. Your shoes, very important. Please don't carry shoes that you are not used to. Don't even carry cover shoes. Do not, we're emphasizing, please, pilgrims should not carry cover shoes. Carry simple slippers.
Similarly, infections spread very fast in large gathering like that of Hajj. Pilgrims are instructed to take preventive measures, especially when coughing or sneezing.
While you don't want to get yourself infected, do not also infect others. That's a simple and basic cough ethic that we advise pilgrims. Don't cough like this. Don't cough like this. Please do like this and cough. If you cough like this, the next thing, you shake somebody. You are now transmitting infection to somebody.
Also suggested for pilgrims is the maintenance of personal hygiene in their residences and other places, as well as avoidance of unhealthy food.
الله ربنا هو الإله له من الأسماء ما اصطفاه الواحد الحي كذا المليك.
Welcome to the quiz segment. Our question last week was, name 3 types of tawaf you know. The correct answer is Tawaful Qudum, Tawaful Ifada, and Tawaful Wada. The winner of last week's quiz is Ibrahim Adebayo Alamatu of number 3 Ogaga Street off Refinery Road, Efuru, Delta State. Ibrahim Adebayo will be contacted on how Nakon will get his prize across to him. For this week, the question is, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Zulhajj is a period pilgrims stay in Muna. By what name is the period known? I repeat, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Zulhajj is a period pilgrims stay in Muna. By what name is the period known? Text your answer to the number showing on your screen. The winner will be the first person whose correct answer is received. All answers should carry the name and location of sender. Good luck and happy viewing.
الله ربنا هو الإله
شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
In addition to the spiritual benefits pilgrims gain from performing Umrah or Lesser Hajj, there are also many other lessons embedded in the rites they perform.
Umrah teaches us a lot of things.
On Hajj Talk tonight, Imam Jamil Abdul Hakim explains the most important lessons associated with observing Umrah. But first, he talks about the concept of Umrah in Islam.
Umrah is very important. When we check Quran 2, verse 194, Almighty Allah mentioned about the Umrah. He said, وَتَمِرُ الْحَجَّ وَالْأُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, that you should visit, you should visit the house of God because of Almighty Allah, for the purpose of worship. So since Almighty Allah has mentioned in the Quran, that means it's very important to a Muslim who is able to avoid the going or visiting the house of God. And it's the lesser Hajj. It's different from Hajj itself. Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam, and why Umrah, that is the Hajj is obligatory, why Umrah is recommended to all Muslims that's able to avoid, that is financially flamboyant, and to able and is healthy to perform that Umrah.
In performing the Umrah, pilgrims learn more about the oneness of Allah.
Spiritual lessons that we can get from doing Umrah is a sincere obedience to Almighty Allah. That the person that wants to go for Umrah, he has made up his mind that he wants to be there for the purpose of worship, not any other things. By going to Kaaba, doing Tawaf, and every other things with the crowd of people, is telling us that Almighty Allah is one. And there is no any other religion besides Islam. And since we have followed the rules and regulation of Almighty Allah, the commandment of Almighty Allah, Allah is ever ready to listen to us anytime that we call upon Him.
In addition, Umrah portrays the unity among Muslims.
It's telling us about the unity of a Muslim. Wherever you don't mind of, you see different people, different culture. Even at home, in our camp, we see the different people with different language.
Umrah also teaches pilgrims how to be good and love one another.
By seeing ourselves, it makes us a lot of things, good things within ourselves, with the little time that we meet each other. So we are going to be gaining more and more throughout our life. And that one is one of the things that Almighty Allah say we should be doing when we are alive. That is, we should have cordial friendship from each other, so that by living good in this world, inshallah, God is ever ready to assist whoever assists is a friend in the day of judgment.
In Lesser Hajj, there is the lesson of how to be patient in all situations.
You meet a crowd of people there. You see some people, they will push you, while some they will not. And you may not, by doing ibadah, serious ibadah, it will make you to be patient, because some people, they are not used to it. But by reaching there, you need to be patient with the human being that you met there, different people that you met there, and different behavior, even the weather. You need to be patient with all these things when you reach Mecca, when you are performing your Umrah.
Still, with the Umrah, pilgrims are being reminded of the Day of Judgment.
Seeing the crowd of people is telling us that the Day of Judgment, that is how we are going to meet each other. Whether you do good, whether you do bad, we are going to meet ourselves, or we are going to be rewarded for whatever we do in the Day of Judgment. That is reminder of the grand assembly on the Day of Judgment.
The Umrah exercise encourages pilgrims to be more devoted in their religious activities.
We engagement in more devotional activities when we are doing this Umrah. The pilgrim, while in the Holy Land, spend most of their time in devotional activities, such as prayer, such as meditation, such as reading of Holy Quran, many things like that, in which at the end of the day, God is ever ready to reward those who are doing all these activities.
Imam Jamiu Abdul Hakim said Muslims who perform the Umrah are expected to be of good conduct in all they do when they are back home.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك